Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, as you guys know, we find ourselves in the heat of the NBA Finals. I believe Game 4. Is it Game 4? Yeah, I believe Game 4 is tonight. As you guys know, the Denver Nuggets had an incredible Game 3 victory, basically making history, with two of their players having the 30-point triple-double in the same game. Never happened in an NBA Finals game. We know the game that LeBron and Kyrie Irving had when they both had 40 points in that game. That was an absolute tour de force. But now to have two guys have a 30-point triple-double is just, it's unheard of, right? So these guys have been playing so well that now some people are questioning, is this the best 1-2 punch since Shaq and Kobe Bryant, right? I mean, they're playing that well at an elite level. Now, as you guys know, we live in the prisoner of the moment era, where whatever that just happened 5 minutes ago is the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? This is just the era we live in. And generally, we see this happen a lot around the NBA Finals when a particular player wins the NBA Finals or looks like they're about to win the NBA Finals. A lot of people begin to say, hey, is this the best player in the world? Is that the best player in the world? And it seems like one of these people has kind of been caught up in the whirlwind of the prisoner of the moment, or somebody who they locked in prison, in the prisoner of the moment prison, just proverbially, but I don't mean that literally, is Chris Broussard. Chris Broussard recently was on Speak for Yourself with Kevin Wiles, and Nick Wright. And Chris Broussard basically decided to jump out of the window by basically saying that, hey, man, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world, and Nick Wright, who I have to be fair is a Giannis Antetokounmpo supporter, basically pushed back on him and say, hey, wait a minute, man, is this not a prisoner of the moment thing? Are you sure that he's better than Giannis Antetokounmpo? And I think Nick Wright did a good job presenting a counter argument. So what we want to do is play the exchange between Nick Wright and Chris Broussard for you guys, and then we're going to come back and really give you guys our thoughts. So take a listen to this here.
I've said this now, a couple weeks. He is the best player in the world. That doesn't mean he should have been MVP, and people are always getting that mixed up. Was Steve Nash ever the best player in the world?
No. I also would have never voted him MVP, but I didn't make those mistakes.
I voted him twice, and proudly. I thought he deserved it. Dirk Nowitzki, ever the best player in the world? No.
I don't think so. He would. No. He had an argument one year, but not when he won MVP.
He was not.
When he won MVP, he
was great.
Yep.
Not the best player in the world. Russell Westbrook, ever the best player in the world? No. So my point is, this is not the MVP discussion.
Right, but I don't think
this is about the best player in the world.
But people are really not comparing him to the MVP. They're asking, is he better than Giannis? Everybody knows
but a lot of people are talking about him, and Embiid is trending on Twitter.
Okay.
That Embiid was best player in the world for 20 minutes. That's trending on Twitter.
That's not trending on Twitter. Wilds tweeted it.
Did you tweet that?
That was Wilds' tweet. That was literally Wilds' tweet.
You did say that in the meeting. Wow. I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I do have to follow you. I'm going to start following you, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
But
I didn't want to know what 20 minutes it was. I never saw it, but go ahead.
Yes, he's clearly the best offensive player. There's no question about that, because he scores not only at every level, three-pointer, mid-range, post-up, but he does so efficiently at every level. He's one of the best passers in the NBA, period. Forget center. I think he's clearly the best all-time big man passer. He is one of the best passers in the NBA right now. And then what he does, he reminds me of Magic and Bird, in that he can dominate the game without being ball dominant. Look, everybody else has that. I'll let you talk about some of the other guys that would be in the argument.
There's only one other guy in the argument. There's only one other guy in the argument, and it's the guy who you and I both agreed, without any equivocation, headed into these playoffs with the best player, Giannis. So I think it is right now a two-man race with respect to Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, Joel Embiid, whomever.
And we should address some of them, because you and I had it as Giannis. Yeah. Some people had it as Kevin Durant. Some people had it as Embiid.
That's fine. But for my purposes, this is a Giannis Jokic discussion. And that's the discussion that I'm going to focus on for a moment here. At worst, he's the second best player in the world, he being Nikola Jokic. I am going to reserve the right to say, for me, to call him the best player in the world, needs 2 more wins.
Fair.
I am not going to strip Giannis of the title for losing to Miami and give it to a guy if he then loses to Miami. Let me now also remind people, and Wilds, we all have short memory, short enough that Wilds is, Mr. Nuggets, but he also brought a live deer on the set. He at one point in time was no, exactly. That's no, I'm defending you there.
It didn't seem like.
Oh, you got you're
it was a harsh.
You didn't get a lot of sleep. You're up so late podcasting that you're a little on edge today. So, Giannis in the finals was 35, 13, and 5 on better than 60%, had 2 40 and 10s and a 50 and 10. Giannis in the series they lost against Boston was 34, 15, and 7 with 2 40 and 10s and a 40 and 20. Giannis's playoffs the last 3 years averages compared to Jokic this year. What you are going to see is they are essentially identical aside from the assists.
The assists are pretty big.
Of course, but I would argue Giannis's gap defensively is pretty big too. I think he has an argument he's the best defender in the league.
But Nick, what about this? You can bring up the numbers.
Can I say one other thing and then go ahead? Also, Giannis, when he didn't have Chris Middleton, lost in 7 games in round 2 to Boston. Joker, when he didn't have his second best player, the last 9 playoff games, he went 1-8. And so I just don't think when Jamal Murray, and I know
he
everyone
still had
says
Drew, and he had Brook Lopez.
Right. I understand everybody says, oh, but he also didn't have Michael Porter Jr. I think we're seeing more and more that maybe Aaron Gordon's the 3rd best guy on that team.
Well, Gordon's only been there recently.
But Gordon was there last year when he went the years that I'm talking about. So again, this is not. I understand coming from me, people are going to take it harshly. I'm saying at worst he's second best, but I don't think it's fair to Giannis.
But
yet.
It is fair.
So you heard the discourse, you heard the back and forth. Now, I'm sure Giannis is sitting down somewhere saying, "Really? I'm not the best player in the world." I'm sure Giannis is in there thinking, but this is something that has happened before. And as a matter of fact, before producing this particular show, we actually put up a poll here on our channel asking our audience this question. And the question essentially was this. We said, should the best player in the world be determined by who won the championship that year? In about 4 hours or so, 4,200 people have voted, and 75% said no. The remaining 25% said yes. So basically 7 out of every, give or take, 10 people are saying, no, this is not how you do it. And I would agree with these people. I remember back in 2008 when the Boston Celtics beat Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. And Paul Pierce started to refer to himself as the greatest player in the world. And Kobe was like, and these guys are like, excuse me? Is this what we're doing now? To me, I don't think that just because you won the championship, it makes you the best player in the world. I think that we have to consider all things, right? We have to consider all things and understand that, hey, wait a minute. Is this guy actually deserving of this title? Or are we just saying this because this is what's happening right now and we feel like we got to say this? To me, I think Nikola Jokic is easily one of the 5 best players in the world. Some people argue a top 3 player. Has he passed Giannis? Well, it really depends on what you like, right? It really all depends on what you like. Nikola Jokic, I was watching him play in game 3, and I said to myself, I'm like, bro, this is like Kobe Bryant at the center position. No, really. The guy has such a sweet touch when he shoots the ball. He actually has impeccable footwork. He knows exactly how to get to his spots. And his skill level is off the charts. It's literally jumping off the chart. It's immense. Another player that was extremely skilled was Pau Gasol, but Pau Gasol wasn't as nimble with his feet as Nikola Jokic. Joel Embiid is also extremely skilled. We all know this, the reigning MVP. But he doesn't have the all-around game the way Nikola Jokic does. Now, if we're looking at him and Giannis, I think they bring 2 separate things. They score in 2 separate ways, right? Chris Broussard mentioned the fact that, well, when Giannis played against when Giannis played against what do you call it? The what's the name of that team? The Boston Celtics, that he was shooting for. No, he wasn't. Giannis played with so much physicality that he was basically running over those dudes like the level of physicality that Giannis plays with, no one in the NBA plays like that, and they got to count for something. If you remember, Chris Broussard is saying that the reason he's going to give the edge is because Giannis has too many glaring weaknesses, because he can't shoot and he's not a good free throw shooter. So if that's the case, why was Kevin Durant stifled by that Boston Celtics team that Giannis took 7 games? KD can shoot. KD can shoot threes. KD could shoot, free throws. And he was stifled. I mean, he was stifled. And he was shooting in the low 30s, mid 30s, or whatever it was in that series. That's KD. So shooting ain't everything in the case of Giannis. You can't judge him on that scale. You can't judge Giannis by another player. You got to judge Giannis based on Giannis. And if you're looking at Giannis, I think what Giannis gives you on both ends of the court, I believe is extremely valuable. What Giannis gives you on the offensive side of the floor is pretty much exactly what Nikola Jokic gives you. But what he gives you on defense and his ability to roam and play help defense and all of that and recover, Nikola Jokic is pulling off shots that I've never, absolutely incredible shots. But there are things that Giannis can do too that Nikola Jokic cannot do. I'll give you guys a perfect example. If you guys remember in the NBA Finals when he had that 50-point game, I think it was either Chris Paul or Devin Booker tried to run a pick and roll with DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton rolled hard, Giannis showed on that, recovered, and blocked the shot without. Nikola Jokic cannot pull off that play. He can't. Just like Giannis can't pull off some of the passes. And he doesn't have the footwork of Nikola Jokic. But to me, I think Nick Wright brought up a good point, which is, are we ready to just throw Giannis Antetokounmpo out the window and say that this guy's not the best player? Because his argument was, nobody was saying this coming into the playoffs. Nobody was saying that Nikola Jokic is better than Giannis. Now, to me, I think Nikola Jokic was disrespected by a lot of people, and I said it on this channel. Then the Kendrick Perkins of the world and all of these boys disrespecting this guy. He's a bad boy. Picking him as one of the last or one. Think about this for a second. In the All-Star game, Nikola Jokic was one of the last picks in that game. Think about that. And he's better than 99.9% of the dudes that went ahead of him. Should actually show you dudes was hating on Nikola Jokic. For real. So these are my thoughts. What I want to know from you guys is simply this. If Nikola Jokic wins the championship, should he be considered the new best player in the world, or do you still think that title goes to Giannis Antetokounmpo? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.